Good morning. Hope all is well with you all in this wonderful world of ours. And as always, we start the day with a bit of gratitude before I discuss the next Reiki, the final Reiki precept of this little mini series, which is be compassionate towards yourself and others. But before I go into that, I'd just like to say what this channel is all about. It's about me, my thoughts, coming from the heart, being honest as much as I can, and just sharing what I feel is right. What you won't find here is fancy cameras, fancy microphones. This is a cheap old microphone, though I'm not here to be spending loads and loads of money on editing and all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of other channels out there who invest quite heavily, and I fully respect them. That's not me. I come just from a place of honesty and humbleness, and from there I will give what I feel is appropriate. And of course, I always respect any comments, as long as they're positive, of course, and don't do trolls. And any thoughts and likes and subscribers, much love to each and every one of you. But let's begin with a bit of gratitude. I'm going to express gratitude for a beautiful fair that I went to yesterday at the Chakra Centre. And it was so nice to be able to offer healings. And it was just healings yesterday. I didn't offer readings, but nobody came for me for readings. It was just healings, which I absolutely love. Healings at the end of the day, but you can put some lovely energy in and to boost that person to how can we say, a higher state than they was when they came and saw me. And often it is just about lightening the load as I see it. I'm also grateful for the opportunity to meet some people I ain't seen for a while. And it was great to see some of the first people I ever trained in Reiki, having a lovely conversation with a few of those people, as well as some obviously who come later. And it was just so nice just to catch up and see how everybody's doing. And I just hope it won't be so long until they come back again and say hello. And finally, a little bit off topic, a little bit, just watching Jack Reacher yesterday. It's a good old film. I mean, it's got Tom Cruise in it, and it's quite funny because Jack Reacher in the books, he's a big old 6 foot burly, massive mountain of a man. And Tom Cruise, well, he's got some stature, but he's nowhere near 6'4", is he? Let's be honest. But it's still a good film. I enjoyed it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, of course, but that's my bit of gratitude for today. So, we come to the Reiki precept now, which is just for today be compassionate towards yourself and others. And again, we always find when we actually go through all these precepts how challenging they can be. So, let's have a look at where you may be compassionate towards yourself and how many times you might do something. Let's imagine you do a little test or something. Imagine you're back at school. You do a test, you do your best, you feel you've done your best, and then the results come back, and maybe they're not what you wanted. They come back a few months' time, you wanted all A's, and you get D's, C's, and maybe even an F. And you think, oh, God, I wish I should have done better, I could have done better. And then you beat yourself up, don't you? And then you may well get external pressure as well from, could have, back then, probably your parents or even family or friends who think, oh, Gary's a bit dim, isn't he? No comments there. But you see what I'm saying? How we would beat ourselves up. We think, well, I'm no good. I'm useless at all this sort of thing. And you put yourself down. Instead of thinking like, okay, maybe those subjects that I studied weren't right for me. Because let's be honest, when you go back to those school days, you go on a limb, don't you? And who's to say that maybe you'll find your own path anyway that's completely different to maybe the one everyone thought you should be going down. But of course, in that moment, we beat ourselves up. We tell ourselves, and that's the worst thing you can do because it will destroy your confidence. It will kind of could make you become introverted. It could or go on a life of thinking, what's the point? Why bother? And that is sort of like endemic of the pressures that we can find ourselves under. And a lot of it comes from within. Now, obviously, I know it's quite difficult for you as a kid at school or something. Say, well, you know what? I'm just going to do what I do, and so what? Because of external pressures. But they do, as we get older, they can manifest in our older lives as well. And so we have to be aware of that. And conversely, be compassionate towards others as well. I often say, imagine you're a manager at work, and you see someone who's coming in late, and you begin to get a bit annoyed. You know, you're thinking like, why do you keep coming on late? And you give them a really hard time. Maybe you look at their standard of work, and you think their standard of work isn't up to scratch, and you berate them and warn them and tell them if you don't buck your ideas out, you're out the door, etc. Instead of maybe getting to what's really going on, because for all you know, that person could have the biggest stresses imaginable. And they're keeping it under their hat because that's what we do, don't we? We don't always share what's going on. And maybe a compassionate way of speaking to someone could elicit those little golden nuggets. I mean, it's almost like we become their counselor, don't you? And allow them to open up. Now, obviously, we know that's not always the case. You know, sometimes people will, have a little bit of a good old time on a Friday night, and over the weekend they come in Monday and they think, oh, I can't be bothered to go to work or whatever. Of course, we get that, but again, be compassionate. Maybe say to yourself, well, maybe once upon a time that was me. So we always have to be wary of what I call the stick, beating people over the head, because again, it has an effect. And you could say, right, you ain't up to scratch, at the door, you fire them, and they go off the rails. Of course, it is a fine line. It's a fine line we must tread sometimes. And this is where the precepts challenge us. When should we be compassionate? When is compassion needed in a real sense? And we say it all the time, because when you get up to a higher state of thinking, a higher state of consciousness, maybe then you look to the patterns why that person is getting smashed over the weekend, why they come in late. And that's really trying to get onto the higher plane of thought, rather than just thinking, oh, they're lazy. You think, well, what's going on here? Why are they not driven to come to work and do their best? That's a tough one, isn't it? So that is just a couple of little examples there. But please do put your thoughts in the comments below. What does compassion mean to you? What is your thoughts? And please, if you find this subject resonating with you, and if you've been bold enough to come to the end, thank you very much. And like and subscribe, guys. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.